When the blitz is on, you need to protect your most valuable asset. That's why the NFL looks to Cisco Security, powered by AI, to protect their data from cyber attacks. When the game is on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
Good afternoon. Are you guys here? Look, before I get started, just want to, offer my condolences. We had an employee pass away last week, right, Stacey? Last week, Lorana George, and just want to offer my condolences to the family. She definitely was a special part of our program. She worked in the dining room, so I just want to get that out there. Moving on to football, good week of practice. Thought Drake went out there and, performed well overall. Once again, look, we got to wait and see if it happens in the game, but he's done a good job. I feel like there's a renewed sense of energy throughout the team, and now it just comes down to Sunday going out there and executing. So, fire away. Oh, perfect. You guys were a firing squad the other day, and now it's like no one has a question.
Obviously, keeping an eye on running back, not seeing Ramondre the last couple of days. What are you seeing at that position right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens, today and going forward, but feel confident about the backs, Gibby, Hasty, and we'll figure out who we're going to elevate after that, but not feel good about it.
You mentioned a renewed sense of energy. How do you see that?
You just see it through. I mean, you can feel it, first of all, before you even see anything. You could just feel the guys are, locked in and ready to go. Those guys are running back to the huddle, just ready for the next rep. So it's encouraging.
Are you expecting to have the same offensive line combination this week? And if so, how big would that be?
Look, we'll see. You never know, especially, I told you guys last week, we probably should do this after practice. But, we anticipate there being some stability up front.
You guys brought in two centers this week, one on the 53 and one on the practice squad. Is that the team trying to build more depth? Are you guys still trying to find out sort of maybe the right combination or how to replace David?
I would say we're always trying to look to improve our roster. And Elliott and his staff identify people that may help us win today or in the future, and that's how we see it. You got it.
How does being at home for Drake's first start maybe help him in any way? Is that a benefit?
I think it is. It's your crowd, home crowd. And look, we have to establish as a team home field advantage, and that has to be part of our identity. And, hopefully the entire team goes out there and plays well on Sunday.
Try to ask to Marcus about D'Amico Ryans yesterday. They go back as two Birmingham guys. He also mentioned, he appreciates being a black head coach in the NFL. Just what's your relationship like with D'Amico? What are your thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, look, DeMarcus probably has a better relationship with D'Amico. I would say the history between D'Amico and myself goes back a long way, and he doesn't even know it. He was one of those guys I looked up to, and in college you try to chase those tackle numbers. I would put Patrick Willis in that same kind of realm as far as me as a young guy trying to chase those guys as far as stats are concerned. But he's done a fantastic job. I would also say Nick has done a fantastic job with that roster as well. And another guy, talking about Nick here, who made moves early on and no one could really tell what he was doing, and then bam, all of a sudden they have a good roster. So I look up to Nick. I look up to D'Amico and that entire organization, and hopefully we can replicate some of that stuff here in the near term and in the future.
I know this is on the front office side, but you mentioned Nick. Are there any lessons you can take from that rebuild as you and Elliott try to bring the franchise back here?
Yeah, once again, I would say the one thing is, like, all the moves, everyone won't agree with everything that you do. And that's okay. And it's your job as the media, and it's also the fans' job to try to figure it out. I try to be as transparent as possible with you guys, but like I said, I think in a production meeting, transparency is kind of what we want you to see, or what we allow you to see. It's not giving you everything, but I'm giving you everything that I want you to have.
Just going back to the Ramondre thing, just to make sure this is not like something that would take him out for like a long stretch of time.
Correct.
Coach Bill Belichick mentioned on the Coach podcast how important it is for coaches to have a support system. So obviously, lots going on since you became head coach. So I'm wondering, how has your support system helped you so far?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're sitting here and no one's happy about our record or anything like that. And, I still feel like, we as an organization are still going going in the right direction. I would say my support system, it starts with ownership, family and all that stuff aside, but ownership, and I would also, throw Slate and Elliott and Grow in that same world as far as, really helping me see through the record and which direction we're going. So they've been great for me.
I don't know ever how much to read into social media, but Christian Barmore tweeted out like an hourglass. Is there any update on him right now?
He's progressing. He still has some checkpoints or hurdles to get over, but he's progressing well.
How about post-draft?
Yeah, honestly, like he's starting to look like an NFL player. He's getting better. We'll see what happens as we go forward.
Do you believe there's a chance, a better chance, Christian can play at some point this season than you did a few weeks ago?
I would say yes.
Someone like Sione Takitaki. The Sione Takitaki, I almost messed up his name.
You should say Taki.
There we go. How is he progressing, and is he getting to a point where you think you guys will be able to use him on game day?
Well, this week he was out there on the show teams. He also was out there with our defense, and he's progressed nicely.
Is that me?
Yeah. I'm like, you're not even looking around or attempting to turn that off. When that happens inside the squad room, everyone starts coughing to try to cover it up. No one in here helped you at all. That is you. Sorry, going back to we were Taki, right? Yeah. So Taki's progressed well. I would say he has a chance. He has a chance this week.
Is there a fine for that?
We'll let the first one go. Warning letter. You'll get that warning letter.
Going back to Cole Strange, just thinking of all the pieces you have on the offensive line, has there been any thought whenever he comes back to try him at center?
100%. I think, any of those interior spots, he can play guard, he can play center, and we have to get the best person out there, and I think he has the ability, the physical tools to be able to do it.
You started, obviously, acknowledging someone passed away, offensive line, so obviously you guys are people, your life intervenes. Last few weeks, Helene, then Milton, part of the country's been affected. A lot of players, of course, come from that part of the country.
Yeah.
You describe it, I'm sure it's affected every locker room, but what kind of an effect it has on the people in your locker room?
Yeah, I reached out to all the players on our team that have, family in those areas, and just reassured them, like, you got to do what you got to do for your family, and it's excused if you got to step out and take phone calls or make sure that everyone's good. I'm okay with that. We always talk about if home isn't right, then on the field won't be right. And I've been on both sides of the fence where things are happening with the family, and then it affects you on the field. And so until we get the family and friends thing right, we can't really expect those guys to go out there and perform at their highest level. So I sympathize and empathize with all those affected by the hurricane.
Coach, with the situation at center, would there ever be any consideration of giving Mike and Wenu some of the control when it comes to setting protections and everything now that he's inside?
That's not really under consideration right now. What you would like to see, if the center position can't handle it, is the quarterback kind of taking over that role. But once again, we have a rookie quarterback making his first start this week. You don't want to put it on him. So I would say, look, we're fairly confident in the centers that we have on the roster being able to make those calls.
With the limitations that Cole has on the pup list right now, is he able to snap to quarterbacks?
He's not doing any of that.
Jerod, you mentioned in the past how many people on your staff have experience working with quarterbacks, and Ben McAdoo is one of those. Can you describe to us some of the things maybe he's done with Drake over the course of Drake's time here that's allowed him to be ready for this game?
Yeah, I don't, not specific to McAdoo. I would say if you look across the league, most of the offensive coordinators are the starters, the starting quarterback's coach. In saying that, I would say, between AVP and BMAC and TC, we have, the ratio is pretty good, 1-to-1 in that instance. But, and I don't want to forget Jacoby as well. Just his mentorship and how he approaches the game and how he's played the game and his toughness, and his leadership. We had a captain's meeting yesterday, and he's in there, still has a lot of respect in that locker room, and he's rooting Drake on, which is special to see. I know you asked about BMAC, but I kind of pivot over to Jacoby.
You mentioned captains. There's been a lot of attrition there, a couple guys on IR.
Man, tough being a captain.
Yeah,
tough.
Have
situation.
Why did you go right to that one? There have been other situations.
Well, you got Jacoby as well. Jacoby.
David Andrews, Bentley, yeah.
Guys on IR. So how have you guys handled that from a leadership perspective?
Look, you're voted captain, by your peers. I would also say, there are levels to leadership, and I would say that we have some people, that also offer leadership. I'll throw Kendrick Bourne in that bucket. A guy who just recently got back, but is truly he may not have a C on his chest, but he is a great leader for our organization. I would say we have a few of those players in the locker room.
Jerod, just on Jabril, you opened with him in your statement on Wednesday. Have you gathered any new information, or is there any update there as far as where you stand with Jabril?
Yeah, I'm just going to stand on the statement that I said earlier. And once again, we do believe in due process, and we'll see what happens. Thanks, guys.